Hi, this is Stacia, and we're going to take a look at a training game that I played in chess.com against Corval Jackson. So, I'm trying to get to 1800 and running into some bumps, but no worries, I will get there. Let's take a look at this game and see what we can learn. E4, best by test. G6, the modern defense. I haven't faced this in a minute, but I do remember that. Well, I just follow my rule. If I can put two pawns in the center, then I do that. So d4, bishop g7, knight c3. Now d6, and it's like we've almost transposed into a PIRC defense. If the knight were on f6 and the bishop were still here, I think it would be a PIRC defense. So here I played f4, the pseudo-Austrian attack. I've definitely played this before. And now knight f6, and we have transposed into a PIRC defense now. Mainline Austrian attack. Okay, I actually just recently learned that knight f3 is the main move. Somewhere along the line, I lost my way and started playing bishop e3, which is not a good move because of knight here. Okay, this is good though. Knight f3 gets your knight out. He castled. I played bishop d3, so I remembered this. So bishop d3 is called the Weiss variation. Pretty sure this is just the main line. Knight to c6. Yeah, and you have to wonder when the knight comes here, is he going to go knight b4 and try to take my bishop? Is he putting pressure on my pawn because the bishop's lined up with it? Because I only have one defender, so knight c6 makes me nervous. But I went ahead and castled. Wow, okay. Castling is fine. Turns out that e5 is the main move here. So I probably should just go ahead and memorize this main line because I see it often enough. The PIRC defense, that is. If e5, they take, I take with an f pawn, knight to h5. Excuse me. And bishop to e3 is the main line, but it actually looks like bishop e2 scores better. Fascinating. So I guess we're just eyeing up the knight here. So let's just look at that for a second. Oh, they played bishop g4 anyway. It's kind of weird, but that tells me there's not a lot of good squares for this bishop. Yeah, like where do you go? No, actually I do like this square. What happens if the bishop goes here? Something bad. I mean, it looks like you're going to get forked. I will say that. Maybe it's just knight h4. Yeah, knight h4 is good. It says just play e6 here because, but I mean, we can take the bishop and then take the knight. Wow, it's better to play bishop e3. Okay, I see why this knight is actually, what do you call it? Abandoned? I don't know what you call it. He's marooned on a desert island. Okay. Yeah, he's very, very bad there. That's the point. We might take him, but we'll wait till later. All right. Okay, sorry about that digression on the opening, but I hope you learned something with me on that part. Okay, so instead of e5, I played castles this game. I will play e5 next time. Okay, and my opponent played e5 instead, stopping my e5. But I thought I could take this pawn. I don't see why not. This seems fine to me. And I'm right, because the computer says you can take. Takes. Takes. Okay, yes, I have an isolated, isolated queen pawn. It's a king pawn. I have an isolated king pawn. Huh, maybe that isn't so good. Yeah, you know, I have to admit, I didn't see this little trick because I realized that if I take here, I'm pretty sure queen d4 check is the answer. So I wasn't sure if I want to take the knight, and I decided against it. Turns out it is best to allow that. I just want to see what we would do about that queen. I mean, the king, we want to play this move anyway, so it's not like we're that upset about it. But this queen is centralized. I mean, we have bishop f4. They're going to lose the tempo. Yeah, and this is just an even game, honestly. Knight b5 is the next move the computer wants. But you could also play queen to e1. Stepping off the open file. Interesting. But instead, I played bishop f4 immediately, just saying, hey, you know, are you going to take my bishop? I actually thought that maybe taking improves my structure a little bit, because I'll have 2 pawns in the center, and then I can play for the d4 break. That was sort of the idea. He does take the bishop. Computer doesn't like that for him. That's kind of surprising. I'm not sure what I was thinking he would do here, though. He has to do something about the knight. It actually says knight f to d7, which, ugh. Who wants to do that to their bishop? I mean, if you're really mad at your bishop, then play that move. No, I'm just kidding. All right, he took my bishop, though, and I think this is good for me because of, like I mentioned, I now have 2 pawns in the center. He has none. And this improved my structure to, you know, 2 pawns instead of 1 isolated pawn. Okay. He played c5, staking space in the center. Maybe he's planning this move. Taking my knight. No. I thought maybe he'd go for this break at some point. Yeah, I didn't know what to do here, so I want to look at this move. I settled on queen d2 because I didn't see anything better than that. I didn't necessarily want to stay on the file, but queen d2 is best. Computer says e5 is playable. I thought he would go... It says knight h5. I thought he'd go knight d5. And then I could take that, right? Taking's actually not so good. Now the queen really is improved. But instead, I could just play, well, a couple things. Bishop g5 now, or queen d2. Okay. But e5 felt like an overreaction. I don't know. Like, I don't have to do that, so I didn't. Queen d2 is better. Now I'm eyeing up this idea and this idea. What I mean by that is before I would go here and they would play h6 and I'd go, oh, and I have to retreat. But now I would take it. And the other idea is just to take off the dark square bishop. That bishop is quite good. I think that trade benefits me, so plus it weakens the king. Okay, bishop e6. Deciding to get his bishop out. I was actually terrified of queen b6 here. Computer is not impressed. But I thought this is now an idea and this is an idea. Check. Computer says play e5 against this, which I'm surprised about. I mean, notice if check, I did realize I can block. And this is probably really good for me. Well, plus I'd win a piece because my pawn's on e5. Okay, but knight h5. I guess bishop e3. Huh. Yeah, I like white here, I think. Yeah, I definitely like white. This bishop's not developed, the knight's on the rim. I'd say white's just better coordinated. We have a better pawn. Okay. So after bishop to e6, I played king h1. The computer is not suggesting it, but says it's fine. All right. a6. So I think my opponent's idea is they're saying like, hey, I have a queenside majority. I'm going to push my queenside majority, which makes some sense. Computer does like queen b6 better. I do too. I was unimpressed by a6. Because now that plan feels slow, and I feel like I have time for my plan now, which was bishop g5. He went queen c7, unpinning. I thought he might do that. I wasn't sure what to do here. You know, in hindsight, this looks good. Just line the rook up with the queen. Kind of pins the pawn. Yeah, I like that. Instead I did this. And after rook here, I took the bishop. I thought this is an improvement for me. Computer agrees, actually. Didn't at first. All right. But yeah, the king is less safe now without the dark square bishop. And also that bishop was a monster. And also he doesn't have the two bishops anymore. So yeah, that was good. Now knight g5, knight g5 I play quickly, trying to make the bishop uncomfortable. I did kind of realize that knight g4 might be a move here. Computer does think it is. So that threatens mate. So how would I stop it? I really don't want to play g3. Ugh. Yeah, if you play g3, computer says h6. Yeah, I don't like my king all of a sudden, so g3's bad. Instead, I'd have to retreat. Aw. Sorry, knight. You thought you were going on an expedition, but I'm afraid not. Okay. I played here. And he played this cute move, bishop c4. I didn't see this move, but I also wasn't afraid of it when I saw it. It feels like, yes, you might try to take my d pawn. Okay. So I played a tactical blow or a tactical blunder, your choice. Rook takes f6. So if you want to analyze this and see if you can decide if this is a good move or not, go ahead and do so now. So guess what? It turns out my spidey sense was right. I was like, hey, this is a critical moment. I probably have something tactical. I could win this game brilliantly right now. But I also had not much time. So I was a little scared. And I settled on rook takes knight because I thought this fork was going to work out. Turns out it doesn't. Turns out, though, that there's another winning move, the only winning move, queen to f2. Now, this one's harder to spot. Kudos to you if you spotted it. So the idea is we're stepping out of the pin and making a threat on the knight. Now, if you're going to play this move, though, you have to reckon with knight g4. Now the knight has parried the threat and made a threat of its own. So we have to do something about that. Now there's two moves that win. Queen f4 and queen h4. I would probably play queen h4. maybe not. I like queen f4. So queen f4 is saying, go ahead and trade queens with me because now I'm attacking your knight and your bishop at the same time. But if you don't trade queens, your queen's under attack and your bishop's under attack. So yeah, this is pretty rough, and it just wins for white, it turns out. And probably queen h4 is similar. Let's look at that one. If queen h4, we're attacking the knight and the bishop. Yeah, it's the same thing. Wow, computer gives queen takes h2 check, grabbing a pawn. It does grab a pawn, so grabs 2 pawns. It actually grabs 2 pawns. But they lose a piece, so. Also, there's pressure here. Yeah, I'm just looking at this, like, I don't know if I'd be so confident about winning this, but computer says +2, so it is winning. I like that. You know, sometimes the computer shows us like the best way to lose material, and that's a good example. If you're going to lose material, you might as well do this. Okay. Now let's look at why my move fails. Sad face. I took the knight and he did take. This is the best move. And now I looked forever because I really want to fork him. Yeah, I mean, if I go b3, well, the problem is this. Rook takes d3 will come with tempo on the queen. If I check and try to do the fork now, I think he just takes with a bishop. There's nothing wrong with this. He wins a pawn, and it even says king g7 is better, but I just thought, oh, I see why. King g7 to stop my fork. Yeah, now I'm down material. So I can't play knight d5. So I have to play the other one. This is the other reason I played this. And I have to admit, my tactical calculation is lazy lately. I feel like I see things and I go, oh, this will probably work. And I don't fully like dig into the calculation. So that's something I'm gonna work on, because I don't know how I got lazy, but it happened. So check, and king g7 attacks the knight, and black still has this move. So I went ahead and took the rook, but now he has this intermezzo. Rook takes d3. I have to move my queen. Now this would be amazing if I could somehow like check the king and rescue my knight. Then I'd be winning. But unfortunately, I don't see a way to do that. And I think this move still loses because the square's guarded by like all of black's pieces. So I can't do that. Yeah, it's a shame. I was actually hoping that, you know, after this, I was hoping he would take with a king. That would be awesome for me. Queen h6 check. He has to move and then take the bishop. That would win. But of course, my opponent's 1600, not 1000. So he didn't do that. So sad face. I didn't have a way out of this. Computer said queen c2 here. I really think that's a cool move. You know, you're saying, you know, I'm going to make a little threat. Be nervous about your bishop. So that's kind of cool. But I played this move. Looks more aggressive. But he can just take the knight. I have no choice but to let my knight go. Now I played here. Black's better. I wouldn't say I'm completely lost, but black's certainly better. Just due to the pawn structure and king safety. My king is suddenly not so safe on h1 because of back rank ideas. Yeah, and this to me is my true blunder of the game, to be honest with you. So what do you think? Should we trade queens or not here? I probably could have survived. Well, we would have played on, and it would have been a game of chess. I'd be worse, but the game would go on. Instead, I looked at my clock, panicked, and took the queen without really looking at the position. But it would only take me 5 seconds to see that I shouldn't trade queens. So I'm very disappointed with myself. Queen h6 check looks decent. Just move the queen. Don't trade. Check the king. I mean, I could probably make other moves that are okay as well. Maybe even queen f4 is okay. But I did take. And here's the lesson that I've learned before, and now I'm learning again, that I'll pass on to you guys. Don't trade queens in an ending unless you're absolutely sure about it, okay? Because a lot of times it will be the mistake that loses you the game. Okay, you've got to look at your ending and know if it's losing. If it's losing, don't trade queens. Okay, so I skipped that step, and now you're about to see why I didn't break 1700 for the third time this game and instead dropped to 1686. But I'm okay with that because I deserve it. Okay. I fought on in this ending. I mean, never resign. I do believe that, and I teach my students that. My opponent could drop his rook. You just never know. Or I might sneak in a pass pawn. But I'm clearly losing here. This pawn majority will come to tell at some point. Yeah, I actually thought, like, I was feeling pretty good here. But after king e6, I didn't see any good moves for me anymore. Yeah, and now c3 is coming. I can't even play h5, it's guarded. Yeah, c3. What to do? I mean, what to do? Computer says play king g3. Yeah, I actually think this move's not so good because he wants to play rook d3 anyway, and I'm like encouraging it. And then once he plays rook d3, I'm forced to the second rank where he can now check and trade down, and I can't catch the pawn. If you don't know what I mean, I'll show you. Check. I have to take here. And I'm too slow. So that would be lost. And that is why, instead of rook c2, I have to play, well, computer's saying rook f1 now, but why can't I play this? Yeah, this is also better than what I did. It says this is just like, it goes from -5 to -60. So, and remember this too, like, if you're losing, then try to keep the game going as long as possible. That's annoying for your opponent. And the more annoyed they are, the higher the chance they might screw up. So, don't help them beat you with a move like rook c2, which looks natural. I'm attacking the pawn, but when there's such an easy response like check and rook d2, then that means I shouldn't play this move. I should find something else. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this game. We're gonna do one last overview. I would encourage everybody to do this with your games, but find one lesson you can take away. Like, why did I lose this game? It wasn't the opening. Opening, you could say, went fine. It started with messing up a tactic. Okay, rook takes f6. Now, part of my problem is I didn't have time on my clock, so I need to play the parts of the game that aren't as important faster. Opening and early middle game. Because here, if I would have calculated correctly, maybe I would have found queen f2. It's kind of natural to get out of the pin. So that would have won the game. But I didn't find queen f2, and instead this is just it's a tactic, but it's just even after this. And actually I was worse after. Yeah, queen c2 and it's even. That's harder to see, I think. I played here. Takes. Yeah, but this is the biggest mistake. The main reason I lost this game is because of this queen trade. So I guess time pressure came to tell, which is also a good lesson for me. I hope you enjoyed the video and can learn from my mistakes. This is Stacia, and I will see you next time. All right, bye.